other fights such as Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. I wanted to get your thoughts on that fight.
A tough fight, man. My nephew, I had never seen Brian Norman, and my nephew called me and said, "Unc, you ever seen this?" No, I haven't seen him. And I think was when he fought Giovanni Santillan, and man, he just dismantled him, and then he fights this other guy, and then he fights the other guy, and you know, I mean, I've known Devin forever, and I know he has a little trouble with pressure fighters, you know. And shit, man, this is a tough fight. It's a tough fight. Devin has to be on his A game. He has to concentrate. You know, and man, but I just have people get mad at me because I have a lot of faith in Devin, man. People say, some guy got mad at me because I posted a picture of me and Devin the day he fought. All he did was run, and all he did was that. I mean, they're good people, man. I've known them all my life. I've known them since they were kids and stuff. So I'm always gonna want them to win. I'm always gonna want him to win. But it's a tough fight.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough fight. Do you feel like that fight goes the distance?
Uh, man, I'm telling you, it all depends what Devin Haney shows up. If Devin Haney, who I know, who I worked with and was able to travel with, shows up, I think he just outboxes this guy. But if it's Devin Haney who's slipping up a little bit, man, I don't think it goes the distance. I think Norman stops him.
Mm, mm. Now, on that card, you had David Benavidez and Anthony Yard. Does that fight intrigue you at all, or do you feel like that's a one-sided fight?
A one-sided fight. I'm a Benavidez fan to the bone, and I want to see him fight the best guys because I know what he's capable of doing. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Benavidez. I love watching his fights. I barbecue when he has fights. If we can go to them, I go to them. I was at the last one in Morale, you know. So, but I don't want to see him fight those guys, man. I want to see him. I want to see him where he belongs, where he deserves to be, in those fights, man. So I mean, that's not really a fight. I'm gonna watch it because, like I said, I'm a Benavidez fan, but I think Benavidez walks through him.
Then you watch right through
Yeah.
him. What do you think about Abdullah Mason getting his title shot on that card?
That's it's a good opportunity, for I think he's fighting the number two guy, right? Or is he the number two or is he fighting the number
Sam
one?
Nukes. Yeah, he's the number one.
Yeah, so and then Abdullah Mason is number two. So you got two guys that are ranked, and that's the way you're supposed to win a world title, man. That's the way you're supposed to win those world titles, not the vacant ones. You're supposed to go in there and the champion. I know it's going to be vacant. I know it's a vacant one, but you're fighting number one versus number two. So I mean, they got to thank Keyshawn Davis for this. they they got to thank the nutritionist, or I don't know who was involved there, but for this. But I believe I like that kid. I like the Abdullah Mason kid, and I believe he's going to be a world champion that day.
What do you think about him and Floyd Schofield and that sparring leak that happened a couple of days ago, and that potential fight down the line?
I don't. I mean, I don't. I don't. I don't really like seeing those videos, especially when it's more of the dads talking than the fighters, or something like that. Or I think who posted it? Or was it this guy is Shakur's manager? What's his name?
Jay Prince.
Jay Prince. Yeah, I seen a little thing on there. But I mean, sparring's different, man. Sparring can be sparring, and a fight is a fight. But I believe it's a good fight. You're talking about him and Keyshawn Davis, right?
No, Schofield and Abdullah Mason.
Oh yeah, it was Schofield. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's the one. Jay Prince. Yeah. So I mean, the sparring is sparring, and a fight is a fight, and they're both good fighters. They're both good fighters. I lean a little towards Schofield, but they're both good fighters.
What makes you lean towards it? Is the power?
No, the experience. He's now he has a little more experience in there. Now he has a little more time in the professionals. He's faced, one round, but he's faced the Tevin Farmer, the doorkeepers, those guys, so that's what helps me lean a little more towards him.
Mm. And that Tank Davis rematch. Do you guys see yourselves fighting one of those guys?
I don't think Tank should take that rematch, but I mean, I guess he already did. I guess he already took it, but that's a tough fight, man. This guy, this guy's a good fighter. Lamont Roach, he's a good fighter. And I remember telling William, I said, "This is going to be a tough fight," and he was like, "Yeah, but he's coming from 130." I said, "This is going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight for Tank Davis." And I remember Robert Diaz, who is the manager of Lamont. So we were at the convention. He said, "What do you think about that fight?" And I said, "Oh man, I think it's a 50-50 fight."
Yeah.
You know,
What's your thoughts on Andy Cruz and Mortataya?
that's a tough fight. Andy Cruz is he's a slick fighter. He can punch. He can do a lot of things. But like I said, Morataya. With Tevin Farmer, he didn't look that great, but and then he comes in here and fights for the interim world title and look like a beast. So it all depends, man. What night these guys show up with, you know what I'm saying? It all depends. Who knows? We might have a big ass night, and Shakur might be off, or we might be off. You never know. So I mean, that's the beauty of boxing. That's the beauty of this sport. That both guys train, to win. But at the end of the day, it's just them two up there. So I mean, I can tell you all, no, if I go, here's a perfect example. The guy that just fought uh, Toro Resendiz, he did Caleb Plant. If I would have went based on his fight previously, Caleb Plant would have stopped him in 2 rounds.
Good
He
point.
fought,
Good point.
he fought a guy who was retired for 4 years, a guy that works in Mexico City, in Mexico, at the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, who does licenses and all this stuff. And then when I show up to Mexico and I said he's fighting him, I've known him for years and years, and he's been retired for like 4 or 5 years, and he gave Resendiz, a tough fight, and then here comes Resendiz and just outworks Caleb Plant, so you can't go off on the last fight, man.
You're definitely right about that. You're definitely right. Um, So, Coach, for the people that are tuning in, why should people tune in next week for the fights? I mean, obviously it's a slamming card, right? But why should people tune in specifically for your fight with Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda?
Because you got two great fighters there that have a lot to prove. They had a lot to prove. William has to prove that he really belonged there. Shakur has to prove that he's really ready to fight. They got a lot to prove, and I believe that both guys are going to give the best of all. They're going to give a hell of a show, and at the end of the day, I believe the fans are going to win. If Shakur comes and he told William personally. He said, "Let's give the fans what they want to see." This was immediately after the Devin Haney and that fight. He came up to William and said, "William," he said, "let's give the fans exactly what they want to see." And William told him, "As far as my part, I'm coming to bring it." I know that Shakur is going to come and give his best as well.
Tell me, as far as resume at 135, who do you feel like has a better resume at least at 135? True 135 pounders.
Out of
Shakur and Cepeda. I mean, Shakur's only had what? 4 fights, 3 fights at 135?
well, 135. I mean, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing, brother, because Shakur's coming off of a smaller weight. Moved up. Became a champion. Moved up. Became a champion. Moved up. Became a champion. He fought Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez was a great fight. He fought Joet Gonzalez. Was a great fighter. He fought De Los Santos. Was a great fighter. Then you can say, yeah, William fought at 135, but Jojo Diaz is coming out of was coming from 130. Marcito Hesta was probably he was a 135. Giovanni Cabrera was a real 135 or a little more. He didn't make weight. So So I mean, I think they're as far as facing the 135s, they're 50-50.
Shakur says the winner of this fight has the crown at 135. What's your thoughts on that?
You got to go fight Tank Davis. Whoever we got to fight Tank Davis. Whoever wins, I mean, that's the man to beat. That's the man to beat. So we got to fight Tank Davis, and then we talk about crowns.
That was my next one. Is that the real crown? Not this fight.
I mean, they're all. It's step by step. You got the crown. We already have the crown. You just got to add the pearl to it. You got to add the diamond to it. So right now, we're going with this one, and then the next one, and the next one. But I mean, Tank Davis is probably the guy to beat in my opinion, just because he's a fighter that can be losing every round and just catches you and puts you cold to sleep. So I mean, you know that's to me that's the guy that depending on whoever wins this Saturday, they need to go and fight Tank Davis.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion.
We haven't seen the announcement for that Lamont Roach fight. Do you feel like there's a pause button because of this fight?
Nah, no, it's happening. I'm telling you, because I'm well off with some people on that are making the negotiations, and I was contacted for one of the camps to send sparring and things like that. So
So August 16th looks good.
I'm not sure what date. I'm not sure what date it was, but yeah, I got called last week from one of the camps and asked me if I had anybody that can that can spar.
Speaking of sparring, I see Turkey. He set up like a little sparring camp in New York, and